Welcome to Devil's Island. It's the 24th day of February 2006. Actually, I'm standing right here. Behind me is Ile Royale, which is the larger of the three islands here. We're going to take a walk around, particularly for those of you who didn't get an opportunity to come over here. This was the main island, and this is where we'll find the children's cemetery, as well as some of the cell blocks where about 2,000 prisoners at a time were kept out here. There's also a church and a few other things. And then behind us, and we'll swing around and look at that in just a second if we can see it with the sun, that's Ile St. Joseph. And then Ile du Diable, which is Devil's Island itself, is on the other side. And we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. But there's three little islands here. We're off the coast of French Guiana. In fact, the coast of French Guiana is over to this way, just beyond where Crystal Symphony is. And if you look close enough, if we can find the shot, it's also where you'll see the rocket ships where they send up for the space station here, because they do have a thriving, let's move over a little bit and you can probably see it, they do have a thriving space agency business themselves here in French Guiana. So they've pretty much helped bring them from the 19th into the 21st century very quickly. You can see with the currents out here and the wind blowing why this was such a treacherous place. We actually have a magnificent day today, and it is still a bit of a challenge to bring the lifeboats in, the tenders in. So imagine if you were just trying to swim out of here and swim to freedom. Let's go take a look around Ile Royale and see what it's all about. I'm standing here with a couple of the convicts that are on kind of work release right now. They're helping out with our shore excursion department, but normally they're safely ensconced in the penitentiary up at the top of the hill. But you can see things have changed since Papillon's days. Well, we just came up the stairs that led us to the Maison des Directeurs, and forgive my French because it's abysmal, and this says Quartier des Directeurs, so presumably this is where some of the big dogs used to hang out, the directors, as it were. I think there's a little gift shop up here. We'll check on the postcards and see what else they have. But as you can see, it's just a beautiful day today here on Ile Royale of the three Devil's Island. Oh, hold on, this is kind of an interesting shot as we look over here. Of course, if you need to call home, you can phone home from Devil's Island. I don't think they had that luxury back in the days of Papillon. And the adventure continues. Well, from the director's house, the little gift shop they have down here, we're going to head up these stairs, and this takes us, there's a little restaurant up there, and the cells. And I don't think the restaurant was there at the time of the prisoners, but we'll go take a look anyhow. So we're going to make our way up these stairs and see what is at the top of Ile Royale. Come on up. Now I can take my glasses off for just a minute. We're not looking right back into the sun. We're continuing on up to the top here. You can see that the vegetation is so lush and so green. It really is a beautiful spot. It wouldn't be a place that I'd want to spend a lot of time incarcerated, but as a tourist destination, as a chance to just get off and see it and reminisce a little bit, it really is quite fascinating. So let's continue to the top of the hill. So we've made it to the top now. We're going to walk over to where the cells are and the little restaurant here. And then off to my left, which we'll show you a shot of, is actually the real Ile du Diable, the Devil's Island itself, even though, again, they consider all three of this part of Devil's Island. But that was the infamous island where the only way to really get people over there is they had a makeshift cable car to send supplies over and all, because it really is treacherous, and you'll see it when we take some shots of it in just a moment. But let's go take a look at the area up here where the cells are. Okay, over my shoulder, this is Ile du Diable. This is actually Devil's Island in the distance. And as we kind of zoom in on it, you can see it is really treacherous. The rocky coastline all around it. There's really not even a place for a boat to land. And if you look at the way the swirling currents are and the winds, the way they typically blow here, you can see why it was so difficult for anyone to escape. And then they also had a problem with a lot of the sharks here. That was why when they were saying that when the convicts died, they just dumped the bodies in the water and the sharks took care of them. There was no burial. That was their burial at sea, as it were. So just take a look off into the distance. Quite an imposing little spit of land there with a lot of greenery, but not very inviting. So we're standing here in the lobby of what used to be the mess for the officials. And now it is actually a working restaurant and a hotel, and there's a nice little boutique over here, and of course a bar with a place to get food and all. So a little bit different again, but you can see how this must have laid out. You can kind of let your imagination run wild and picture what it was like when it was actually just the mess hall. But now it is complete with the bars. It is a bar. So we're going to go look around some more. Merci. I'm standing here with my friend who's modeling one of our newest uniforms. It's a lovely red and white striped outfit. Something that I think we'll have the Galaxy Orchestra dressed in future when we make calls here to Devil's Island. Thank you very much. Love the hat. Very nice.
We come all the way around.
Okay, now you can see behind me, actually down here, and we'll give you another shot of it, there's a little lagoon of water down here with a ramp leading down into it. And then in the distance you can see some of the barracks as well as some of the cells. And then over this way we can see the steeple of the church. So we're going to continue to kind of walk our way around this upper portion of Ile Royale. Here's another perspective of that reservoir. I was just over to my left. Now we've kind of moved over on our way towards where the cell blocks are as well as the church. But you can see there's a bit of water down here. I guess on some cruise ships this might even be their swimming pool, but we don't sail on those lines. Okay, we now come into the cell block. We're going to go in here and take a look. I don't know if we'll have enough light to see the solitary confinement because let's face it, light was not a priority there, but you can feel the humidity and the heat, and it's a beautiful day today, so you can imagine how oppressive it must have been, especially if you got stuck into one of these solitary confinement cells. So we're going to go take a look in here and see if we can see it. All right, now we've come inside. This is where the solitary confinement cells are, and there's some on either side. They're about 12 feet by about 7 feet, thereabouts. I didn't have a tape measure, just kind of walked off. There's just a little area for a single bunk in here. That's the only bit of a light that you could possibly get was what might come in from up there and then filter in down through there because there would have presumably been a door here. So it would have been very dark, very dank, very humid, and certainly a very unpleasant way to spend years, as many of them found out. Solitary confinement here on Devil's Island. Yikes. Okay, here I am. I'm in the actual solitary confinement cell. I don't know if you can see me, but I tell you what, it closes in on you very quick. Let's open the door. Oh, the guys, I guess they didn't like what I've asked them to do next cruise because they've locked me in. But let me out of here! Let me out of here! Oh, here we go. Wow, definitely not a very nice place to spend a few minutes, let alone years. Awful. I'm standing inside one of the prison wings here. Remember, they can take about 2,000 prisoners here. And here are some of the regular cells. We've taken a look at the solitary confinement cells. Now I'll bring you in here and we'll take a look at some of the regular cells. You get a little bit better idea of what the accommodation was like here on the island. Come on in. Okay, I'm standing in one of the more regular cells here. In actual fact, we're assuming that this wall here was built up. So this was a single cell here and a single cell there. And as you can see, I think this is probably the prototype for some crew cabins, and it also might be the prototype for a penthouse on some of those other lines. But you can see what it was like. It's not very big space, and I don't know if the bars are here, or maybe you can see over there where perhaps that is where the bed was, the bunk there. I don't see any signs of any kind of plumbing here, unlike the more modern jails where they come with an ensuite, as it were. So not a very pleasant place to stay. And you can see how it must have just kind of rounded around up here and closed them in. And I think that would have really closed in. Then you have the tin roof up above.
The hospital has latrines.
All right, so now we're out in the exercise yard, the building we just came from where the regular cells are. These are presumably ruins of similar cells. You can get another look at it from a slightly different perspective. And again, theoretically, around about 2,000 prisoners were housed here at any given time.